I had thought when I was an undergraduate in art school that I wanted to design furniture and lighting fixtures. And I remember wandering into the glass studio and seeing a couple women working in there, and I thought, wow, that looks really cool. I really should take that class, so I did. And then I was hooked. I love working with glass because it is a material like no other. It's really, really physically challenging to work with it. You need a lot of eye-hand coordination and dexterity. It's constantly kind of surprising you when you think you know what you're doing. It will show you that you don't. So I've really enjoyed that aspect of it, as frustrating as that can be sometimes. But even the material itself, I think, is so evocative of so many things, both in kind of a metaphorical sense, but even in, a visual sense, that you're looking at something, but really you're sort of looking right through it at the same time. And so there's this sort of material that is kind of mediating your experiences with the world. There's a lot of things you have to pay attention to when you're blowing glass. You have to keep things turning, to keep things on center. You're constantly moving, sitting down, standing up. You're dependent on other people helping you and making sure they're in tune with what you're doing. It's hot, it's loud, there's even, there's kind of distractions that happen in the studio sometimes. But the hot shop is really, you are in the moment, and it's almost like being an athlete competing or something. Like, you have this very finite amount of time where you have got to meet your goals and get to the finish line. A lot of times I'm not necessarily sure of what the final piece might look like when I kind of start on it, when I kind of embark on this exploration. A lot of times I'll just start making some things that I think I'm getting into the ballpark with. But then more often than not, I sort of realize, oh, that's not quite it. I need to do this. And it's sort of, it's like going on a hike and you see this one trail and you think, oh, I wonder where that goes. And then when you take it, you realize, oh, it's not going anywhere. And then you got to go back and get back on the main path. And then it takes you to the beautiful waterfalls at the end of the trail. Recently, in recent kind of current events, started to make me kind of reevaluate the idea of transparency, and that it is just kind of a construct, if you will, in our culture. And started to think about all the glass that we don't see because of it being transparent. And in this case, I'm thinking more of like, the vases on a table at a cafe, or, maybe a picture that you have at home that you got at Target or something. It's not necessarily something that you pay that much attention to, but something that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. And then I started to think about, what if all that glass were black, were opaque? And how would that be different? And you're sort of confronted with this wall, basically, of these, of glass that you would think you would normally see through or not really pay attention to, and now it's, not letting you do that. Some of that has to do, as I mentioned, with our current political situation, but it also just has to do with this idea of things that we kind of take for granted. This ability to kind of understand the world and maybe realize that it's a lot harder than we think, or there's a lot more to it than we knew. Recently I've started doing these pieces that incorporate a lot of iridescence, and that is kind of inspired by the material of glass and the way that it kind of breaks up light and reflects and refracts light, but also inspired by the light in California. I live in Southern California, and the light and space movement started here, and I get it. I see why. The light here is really, really incredible. Where I teach, I often, when I commute home, I'm often driving west, kind of at sunset time, and just some days it's just an amazing, amazing drive, and the sky is a Broadway show of light. And I like the iridescence in that sometimes you just can't tell like what you're looking at or where that surface is, because it's kind of fuzzy and hazy and kind of really mysterious and magical. Some students, you open the furnace for the first time and they feel like that heat and they hear the roar of the furnace, and I can just like scan the crowd, and I can see like some people are being like, whoa, like just so excited, and others kind of recoil in horror. And I don't know what it is, why it's so polarizing. I was definitely one of those people that was like, whoa, what is going on in there? And I'm so thankful that I discovered it. And I really, I'm trying to give that opportunity to as many people as I can, because it's been life-changing for me to be able to work with this material.